Okay, so hello everyone. I'm Demir from 6429, and it is my honor once again to open for the Aspire for Impact seminar projects. Today we're going to present the PIT presentation fifth seminar. This Aspire for Impact project is done with the collaboration of 1511 Rolling Thunder, 3990 Tech for Kids, 5614 Team Sycamore, 6429 Fourth Dimension, 6652 Tigres, and 6865 Manitola Metal, which are all Impact finalist teams. So once again, welcome to the Aspire for Impact seminar series. All of these seminars will be conducted on Sundays at 11 a.m. with Eastern Standard Time, and the next seminar will be on Spike Prime Education, and it will be on 15th of December. Please be aware that all of these meetings will be recorded, and we keep the right to publish them on our YouTube and Instagram and other social media platform accounts, but no personal information such as your name, your team, will be published. But if you wish to ask a question through the chat, through the Zoom's chat, or by turning on your microphone, we then keep the right to publish it too. And speaking of questions, as always, we're here to guide, here to assist you on your FRC journey. So please do not feel any hesitation to ask any questions related to or not related to this topic presentation. And besides that, we will be glad if you can keep your questions up until the end of the seminar so that the speaker won't be interrupted, and 6429 won't be presenting any kind of presentations for today. We're just opening. So, and also 1511 is going to present through a video call because their schedule is a bit tight. So 3990, let's hear it from you.
Hi, it's good to be here. And Tech for Kids, we are the 2024 finalists. We're from Montreal, Canada, and today we'll be giving a little bit of some insights into how to master the PIT presentation. So I looked through the visual support that we made, and I think we're taking a little bit from everyone and gathering them together. So we're excited. So now we can go to the next slide if it's our turn to present.
Um,
Perfect.
so I, I think 68, 65 can also introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Alex from 6865. We're based in Manitoulin Island, Ontario, Canada, and we are super excited to present today, and I'll let my partner introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Amara, and I'm the team safety captain this year.
And I am Yana Bauer. And I am the lead mentor for Manitoulin Adult 6865.
Okay, so let's have a quick look over today's agenda and 68, 65.
All right, so we are going to be talking a little bit about pit interviews for rookie teams and just some helpful tips and tricks for when you are giving pit interviews. And so our first slide is what to expect from pit interviews. So pit interviews are your chance to brag about your team and to celebrate your accomplishments the past couple years. And it's really just to let the judges know like what you're proud of and what you've done to help impact your community and your team as well as your robot. And so the judges, they aren't there to judge you personally. They are just evaluating you on different criteria for different awards. And so there's no need to be scared of them. And I know like that's easier said than done, but they really are just there to talk to you. So let's get into what they look like. So if you see the photo on the slide that they are wearing these blue colored shirts and they often have a name tag. And so they are volunteers at first events, and they are usually an expert in a STEM or business field, and they will be asking you questions. There's a couple sample questions later on in the presentation, and they talk to you. That's pretty much what they do. And like the most important thing to remember of this entire interaction is that it's a conversation. It's a way more casual than your impact presentation, and they really just want to hear like what you're proud of and what your team's done. Like they're excited to hear about that, and so there's really no need to be stressed or be scared of them. And I'll let Amara take on the next slide.
Thank you. So here are just a little few tips for success that our team has found really helpful in the past. So the first one is reading the first award workbook. This has a bunch of criteria that the judges are looking for each award. It can also help you identify which ones you want to strive for and what's important to them. This workbook also provides a lot of practice and sample questions so that you can have some information and idea of what you're getting asked before you go talk to judges. It makes it easier for you to have an idea so you can stay a little more calm because you know a little bit about what to expect. And then another one of our tips for success is briefing yourself and your team on key points that you want to work into questions. So when the judges ask you a question, you have things that you can loop back to and ideas that really make an impact for your team that you're proud of and you want to brag about. Lastly, have some materials out and ready. So these are things like documents, handouts, photos, anything that could be used as like a visual aspect. So I know for our team, we have paper handouts that we give not only to judges, but also teams that come by our pit. This just gives some basic information about what our team's been doing for things like outreach, impact, build, business, things like that. But then we also have binders at the ready full of all of our safety stuff and an impact binder that shows what we've done throughout the year. It makes it easier for judges to also have a visual idea of what you've been doing, and it puts some more meaning to statistics that you might tell them. Alex?
Yeah, just to add on to Amara's slide, there was a QR code back there if you wanted to look at the first award book and the sample questions as well as the criteria. And next slide. Thank you. So question examples and how to answer. So these are the most common questions, at least that like I've seen in my experience doing pit interviews. So questions about team challenges. So it's okay to admit to challenges on your team that you've genuinely struggled with throughout the season because no team is perfect. Everyone faces problems at some point. But the judges aren't just looking to hear about the challenge and like how your team's facing it. They want to hear about how you are persevering and overcoming that challenge. So it's important to have like a couple examples picked out. So, for example, for my team, we're rural, and so shipping parts is difficult, and it's like hard to get things to where we are. And so to overcome this, we formed partnerships with local businesses to help us get parts. And like that's sort of what they're looking for. They want to see how you've adapted to that challenge and overcome it in a way that's like also doing other good things. So like for example, in the example I just gave, we were forming partnerships within our community, which is another thing that First values. So it's good to like have a couple examples like that in the back of your head when doing these interview questions, and you might want to think about that before going into competition. Secondly is questions about outreach. So this is kind of similar to what you're talking about in your impact presentation, but there's no need to like build up to it like how it is in your impact presentation. Like you want to get straight to like the things you're most proud of, like your biggest outreach events first, because the judges only have so much time there, and while these conversations aren't timed, you will not be able to talk about every single thing your team has done as much as you'd like to. I know it's hard not to because you're just super excited about everything that your team's done, but it's important to like get the things that have had the most impact for your community and your team out of the way first, or like spend a lot more time talking about them because that's really what's most impressive. And secondly, you want to like frame these responses correctly. So tying in other events that you've done that you can connect to it, or different core values that you can connect to it is really important. And it just like it gives more dimension to your answer, and it frames it in like more of a first perspective than just from your team. And I'll let Amara take on the next slide. Thank you.
Thank you. So, who should you have representing your team in the pits? So, usually you would like to have a select group of people that are in your pits for answering questions. These will usually be people who know everything about your team, or at least know the resources where to look for when a question comes up that they can't answer. Consider the fact that if these people aren't in the pit, who would be? You always want to keep someone there who can answer questions. Just so if the judges do come by, you can talk to them right then and there, and they don't have to miss you and have to come back. When it comes to mentors being in the pit, we would love to keep it limited to one mentor in the pit, sometimes even none if you can have that. This keeps the focus student led and shows that you have pride in making sure that everything is student done and that they can answer questions and explain what you have done and show pride in it. Mentors should not be answering pit questions if they are there. That takes away from the student-led focus of it, and it's harder for your team to make the connection with a judge than if your mentor is answering all the questions. An easy thing to do if you're not going to have a set group of pit people there is debrief everyone on key points and knowledge that they would need for answering pit interview questions. So debriefing them on things like statistics of the robot or outreach events, or just bits of information that you would want to tell judges when they come by that's important for your team or for your goals that year. Things like tying into core values and your team values as well is really helpful for this. So an idea to kind of get everyone on that same page is practice judge questions as a group. So if someone doesn't know the answer, they can learn the answer and vice versa. I think that's all. Alex?
Thank you, Maya. So now we have some what ifs about pit interviews. So what ifs, they keep us up at night. And so let's get into a couple of them. So what if you have a match when the judges come by? So this is where you can tie in that pit rep idea from the previous slide. So when there's matches, usually people who know things about the robot, they are going to watch the match, or they're on the drive team. And people who know things about business, they're in the stands cheering on your team. And so where pit reps come in is they can stay in the pit, and they can be there in case judges come by, and they'll be able to answer all the questions because these pit reps will know everything there is to know about the team. And if that is not something that your team is interested in, if there's no one in the pits, the judges will most likely come back later. So if you do have a match, it's important to like clear the pits out and make sure no one's in there when there is a match, or if you are short on people in the pits. And that kind of leads into the next question. So what if there are only new members in the pit? So if there are only new members in the pit and they aren't really sure how to answer, or they don't know the answer to a judge's question, they can defer to someone later, like say like, oh, this person's not here right now, can you come back later, to the judges. But it does look better if everyone on your team can answer some of the questions. So something that you can create is potentially a resource for your team that you keep in the pits, and it's just like a book of information that can answer different questions to different outreach events and different statistics from those outreach events, and then robot information. Oh, and in the chat, my lead mentor said leave a sign that's saying please come back when the pits are closed. That's one thing that our team started doing this year is we had like a string or caution tape to like show that the pits were closed when no one was in there. Additionally, what if you mess up a response? So if you mess up a response, the world isn't going to explode. It'll be okay. Like, it's just a conversation at the end of the day, and everyone messes up speaking in conversation, and it's pretty easy to correct. Like, it's a very casual conversation with the judges, and if you mess it up, there is always opportunity to fix your mistake. And what if you can't answer a question? So this is where that pit resources will also come in, but you can also feel free to defer to anyone else on your team. And if you can't answer a question, that's okay. It's just something that you notice that you need to educate yourself more on so you can more effectively do pit interview questions. And that is our presentation. Thank you so much for listening. And we are excited to see 1511's talk. Thank you.
Thank you for your great presentation. So I'm actually going to, since 1511 isn't like right now in the meeting, I will screen share their video.
Hi, we're 1511 Rolling Thunder from Penfield, New York. I'm Chloe, and this is my second year on the team.
And I'm Hannah, and this is my fourth year on the team. We'll be talking about preparing for the pit. Pit materials are important for showing judges all the work your team has accomplished.
It should showcase or assist in presenting information about your robot, design process, outreach, team structure, student development, and more.
There are many different ways to present information. Find some that are unique and highlight what's special about your team.
Documentation is essential in the pits. It's a way that our team accomplishes this is with the pit binder. In the binder, we can include images and descriptions about our robot's design, and we can include images from events that we've had. Preferably, this information should be within the last 3 years because that is what FIRST is looking for. The pit binder is also a good way to give judges a visual aid. When talking about an event, it may be difficult to describe an event fully, but with the pit binder, we can show judges pictures to show our impact. Additionally, the pit binder is a great way for students to refresh their knowledge of team facts. It's also important to save your prototypes and iterations from build season so that you can show judges during competition. Real prototypes are an elevated way to show off your design process. As I said before, having a visual aid is extremely important. When you have your prototypes right in front of you, it is easier for judges to get a closer look, and it's easier for you to explain why you made changes to your design.
There are unique ways that you can show off information about your team. These are two examples of how our team has done it. So, on the left, we've 3D printed out a miniature version of our robot. The left image is a picture of our robot, and the right image is a picture of the 3D miniature print. This came about as a result of improving upon our outreach efforts. At demos, we noticed that there may be a visually impaired child, and it'd be difficult for them to interact with the robot in a safe manner. So, the miniature was a way for them to touch the robot and understand what it looks like and how it moves. It's just a small, unique item to show off and present a team initiative. On the right, we also have hung posters around our pit with creative student-made infographics. This provides a team spirit feel to our pit and presents information in another unique way.
It's also important to have pit crew trainings. These help prepare teammates to talk with judges. Your students should know their robot really well, but do they know the team really well? Well, there are two types of pit judges, robot judges and attribute judges. In most cases, the pit crew students are more prepared to answer questions about their robot than the attributes of the team. It's important to train them for the robot and attribute questions.
So, how do you prepare your pit crew students? Well, this is some 3 points that we thought would help. First, ask sample questions to your teammates. Utilize experienced mentors and students. Hopefully, there's some mentors that have already gone through pit crew before, and there's some older students that have already experienced what pit crew is like. They should know what the judges ask and what it's like to interact with them. So, they can host practice Q&A sessions. They can train newer pit crew students on what questions to expect. Another point is to review pit binder materials. We mentioned earlier that you should have some sort of team documentation on hand in the pits. Pit crew students should read the team's documentation to learn. They should be well versed in most of the team's facts. And finally, pick favorites. Judges frequently ask students if they have a favorite event, memory, or demo. Be prepared to answer this question. It's always good to have this answer on hand. And with that, we hope you have a great season in the pits.
We thank 1511 for their great presentation, and we'll move on with the Canva again. I would like a minute, please, because I closed the Canva link.
Yes, perfect. So, hi, we're 3990, and today we're gonna be going a little in a little deep dive into how to master our bit. And what we mean by this is how to maximize, in fact, our impact at events, because events are the competition, the events are a really, really unique way for a team to gain visibility, to practice delivery, and to, win some awards. It's really unique in the way that there's many teams there, there's hundreds, if not thousands, of visitors, and dozens of other teams who are there. So it's really an opportunity that we really want to take advantage of. And speaking of the goals here, we're going to be deep diving into each one of them to talk about how you can maximize your impact in your goals. So the visibility, if we can go to the next slide, the um, the pit is your team's embassy. That's really how we look at it. And you want to make a strong first impression, especially if you're a new team and you want to be able to present your team story. So, who are you? What you guys have been doing? What are your projects? It's really, really a chance for your team to establish itself and to build a sort of storyline about around who you are. And it's also an opportunity not only to talk about yourself, but also to build connections with other teams there as well. Every time that for us, for example, we're from Canada, but when we go to the to events in the States, every time we have really interesting discussions with other teams from the US to talk about the challenges we face, and even sometimes we build friendships, and later on we can use those sort of friendships to help us out. For example, if we need to ship material, some teams we have partnerships in some teams that we met at events that can help us out. And that's something that's really, really interesting to have, especially if you're a new team or if you're an international team or from sort of a remote area. And also the last point that I want to touch upon is social media, because we know that social media and at our online presence, we had a whole seminar about that, but it's really, really important. And sort of the every time we go to competitions, it's a gold rush for creating social media content, because it's like this pinnacle, this peak of all the attention during the season. It's concentrated on during those events. So we see, I'm sure that this relates to other teams as well, but you can see sort of like a sharp increase in the followers you get, in the views that you get during those competitions. So it's really, really important to take advantage of it. So moving on to the next point we have, which is, we want to give you an example of how we managed to, yes, this slide, thank you, to gain visibility during an event. So this fall, we went to Rochester with our sister team, Tech Junior, and we actually have been running an initiative since last year to recognize robotics as a sport. And we've been running this initiative locally in Quebec. And we work with a bunch of organizations, so on and so on. But point being that we really wanted to take this opportunity to bring some attention from the other teams in the States, because it'll be our first time to present what we've been working on. So we went in a bit. We set up this banner, and we did a giveaway. What we did is that we had a sort of petition that was there. If you can see on the bird mascots, he's holding it. It's a petition that team members can sign, and at the end of the day, we had the chance to go on the field, actually, and to give away a drone. from one of the people who signed the petition. So what we did through that is that we got our message across. We connected with other teams by talking to them, and many of them gave us feedback as well on how they see our project and how it relates to them in their region. So that's something that's really, really important to have as well when later on you're going to be applying for the impact award and so on. We also got results. We had more than 200, I think, signatures from that one day of competition, and that's something that is really only possible when you're in the event itself and not if you're doing an online survey or anything. I don't think you have that much of a response in such a short amount of time. We also had an online result as well. Many teams reposted our story to help us get our message across, and it was also a lot of fun. We gave out a drawing. We had a lot of fun. We had and discussions with mentors, with other students, and that's something that I think that is really, really interesting for other teams to think about as well. So now moving on to the next point, which is that the PIT presentations is also an amazing opportunity to practice your delivery. And we always say that the key to acing our interviews, may it be PIT interviews or impact award interviews, practice, practice, and practice. And what better chance you have at practice and practicing in front of people that are not from your team, from others who want to know what your teams have been up to. So we use what we call a feedback loop, which is that first we deliver our content, maybe to judges, to other team members, to visitors, to parents, whatever. And excuse me. And the important part is what comes after it, which is that first we're going to gather feedback. And gathering feedback is really a unique art as well, because you can't always just straight up ask everyone, what you think. Well, what do you think of what we said? Sometimes you can, and sometimes it's more difficult. So then, what's important to find other ways to gather feedback, and one of it is through you can ask questions to them explicitly or implicitly. You can look at their reactions. How do they react to something that you just said? And it's important to write those down or remember it so that after, when you analyze it with your team, hopefully you can start with a general overview. This is a story that we've been telling people today about our team. Has it worked? Has it not worked? Have we got our message across? And then you can really go into the little details, the specifics, to see this point, maybe because we had so many reactions that were not what we hoped for. Maybe we need to twist our message a little or find another way to deliver the same content. And based on that, which is basically the next point, we're going to be able to improve our content, and you're going to be able to nitpick, this little detail. Maybe we can find another way to say it, or maybe we need more visual support or more numbers to really support our point, because we believe it's really, really important that people understand the importance of what we're doing. And after that, you're going to go deliver the content again, as many chances as you can, over and over and over, until you're satisfied with the results. Now, moving on to the next point, which is to distinguish really between the content and what we call the container. The content is everything that you can't really change when you're presenting something. It's the outreach you've done, the projects, the statistics, the numbers, what you've done over the last 3 years. It's in the past. You can't really change it. But what you can always choose is how you choose to tell your story. And that's what we call the container. The same content, you can put it in a bowl, in a basket, in a mug, in a jar, and it's always a different final result. And based on your goals at the event, you can choose to change your container as many times as you want. And what we mean by container is all the different aspects of the storytelling. So it may be the theme that you give to your story. Is it about accessibility for teams? Is it about diversity, inclusion? All the different themes regarding those projects that you've done, you can sort of package it in a little different way and change your message a little. It's about the props, the emotions that you show, the importance that you give to certain aspects other than others in the projects that you've done. Change the whole message as well. The purpose, what's the purpose of your content? How does it relate to your story of your team? The style that you do it, the way that you present, and I'm not, and I can't really give details and specific examples because it changes every time that we present, and it changes for every team as well. The way we present this to our parents or to our sponsors or to judges at our events, it's all different. But it's up to each and every team, I think, to be able to choose the right container for the same content that they're going to keep delivering over and over again. And that is where you can make the difference. Now, moving on to the next part, the final part, which is to win awards. That's something that I think every team, including us, love to do. And there's I think more than a dozen awards that you can win. And there's robot awards and there's team attribute awards. And no matter which category the award is in, the process for analyzing it is the same. First of all, you're gonna read through the award guidelines using, say, the award workbook that 6865 talked about earlier. Analyze the guidelines. Then you're gonna be able to identify sort of the key concepts. In this award, it talks about the robot autonomous actions, that's for the autonomous award, and then you're gonna be able to put all those in sort of a little container with all the important aspects that you have to take into account. And want it or not, teams, no matter who you aren't be able to equally qualify for every single one of these awards. And that depends on your team, and it depends on the season you've had, on all sorts of things. For example, for our sister team, Tech Junior, last year, we had a really, really cool robot. It was really, really artsy. We worked with some local artists to put little decorations on it and everything, and it was really, really flashy. So then maybe in that case, we would have picked to connect our robot with the what is it called? I'm trying to find the name. It doesn't come in my head. The Creativity Award, because it's really, really sort of the important aspect of our design. And really, that third step is really, really important. Picking the award that your team can connect with best, to then, after that, plan out how to best deliver your message using everything we've talked about before: the loop, the feedback loop, the analysis, the everything before. So we believe that these first steps are the best way to plan out how to maximize your chances at winning an award at the event. And that is it from us.
So I'm going to pause recording